Hey guys, it's Liz. Welcome back to the channel where we one-up our coworkers when they're in the hospital. Hope you're making the most of it. Today we're going to be drawing Narcisco, a character that I'm introducing in the third chapter of Princex Hal. Instead of doing a story reading, I'd rather read out his character profile because I think it would be fun. I'm actually super excited for this reading because I just really love the character, and whenever I'm done recording this I can watch Inuyasha. But before I talk about the drawing, I wanted to let everyone know that I'd like to interview some LGBT artists for my blog. If you're interested in being interviewed, you can DM me at Instagram, which will be linked in the description. So let me know in the comments if you have ever been interviewed about your art before. I would like to really know if anyone has had an interesting experience with that. So today I wanted to discuss Narcisco and just the work that went into developing him. I'm a huge fan of how he turned out, and I'd like to know what y'all think of him. This is the first official image that I have of this character. All the other stuff I have is just silly doodles that I used for my drawing, or that I used for my writing. It wasn't until this recording that I realized how much he actually looks like Gaston. I guess the personalities are similar enough. I've been adding chapters as quickly as I can, and currently all of the information is just made up as I go. One of the happy little accidents from that is Narcisco. He's Al's brother, making his full name Narcisco Frontera. I did what every good writer does. I searched high, I searched low for the perfect name, and little did I know, babynames.com is full of shit sometimes because nobody names their kid that. Obviously, Narcisco is a cognate for narcissist, but I am choosing to believe that maybe there is a world where it's actually a Spanish name for beautiful, and that people name their kid that in real life. As his name implies, he is a very narcissistic character. He has built a career in theater and has developed quite a following in just sort of more local areas. The basic traits of a narcissist include self-importance, entitlement, exaggerating positive qualities, that kind of thing. This also comes with a very fragile sense of self-worth, and he's very sensitive to criticism and losing. He and his sister are both super duper people pleasers, which is very common for people who are sensitive about how they're perceived by others. These traits don't automatically make someone a villain, but it does make for someone who is hard to be around for extended periods of time. Also, possessing some of these traits don't automatically mean you have a full-blown personality disorder. It could just mean that you learned these traits growing up and had a hard time adjusting to the proper ways of interacting with people. Narcisco is Al's older brother, but not by a whole lot. He's probably a couple years older than she is, just because siblings with a very close age range tend to have stronger rivalries, and that's because they are at a similar stage of development, which can cause a lot of tensions, and they probably grew up fighting a lot. But then in high school and college they started getting really close and being really good friends. Both of them got into theater because they really liked the attention that it brought them. They became a really powerful duo on stage, going so far as to learn sword fighting to land better roles, and that's why Al knows how to sword fight in the second chapter. And that's my explanation for that. There was an incident that happened while they were in college that created a rift between the two. Both of them auditioned for their first real leading role, and the opportunity would have opened up acting as a career, like a legitimate career for whoever got the part. Another thing with this role is that the lead falls in love with a legitimate actress who is very beautiful and everyone wanted to be around, etc. Her name is Romana Spears, and she is a very popular local actress in this universe. But anyway, Narcisco got the part, and Al believes that it was sabotage. I haven't decided yet if it actually was, but Al was super pissed off about it. So during rehearsals, Narcisco and Al both tried to court the actress, who ended up liking Al better. So she ends up sleeping with Al, and Narcisco is totally heartbroken by it, and he never had success with women after that. He ended up moving to a bigger town after he finished school and focused solely on himself and his career. Al quit acting altogether, but this experience inspired her to start chasing girls instead of goals. So she wasn't doing a whole lot except every woman she could get her hands on when she finally met Hen. So that's a pretty steep character flaw that Al is having to work through in the story. The third chapter of my story so far is Narcisco's first attempt at romance since all this drama. There should be a link in the description for you if you want to read it. It's my favorite chapter so far. I really recommend you read it because I'm not going to give away any real spoilies in this video. But overall, developing Narcisco helped define Al's character a lot. I already know that she was cocky and promiscuous, but it's really starting to show in the writing because I have this relationship to work from. It can even alter the way Al interacts with Hen in the future. Family relationships are really important for demonstrating the protagonist's background and their motivations. I noticed that a lot of people online don't really discuss characters and their siblings, which can make them feel kind of flat. It also leads me to believe that people aren't looking at their own lives when developing their characters, at least not to a degree where it fleshes out your characters. So while there's not really any personality trait of Narcisco that is based off my own brothers, how he interacts within the sibling dynamic is kind of relatable in an exaggerated way. Like, you'll see them fight and jab, and they're always saying shitty things to each other, but they get over it without some long-winded apology. They help each other where it counts, and that is the whole point of siblings that love each other. It's not necessarily always being nice to one another. So enough talk about where he comes from. Enough background. Why does he look like this? I just know that I wanted a very flamboyant design because he does do theater and he very much has an open shirt policy to match that. The design gives the impression that he's a very sexual or romantic character, but in reality he has no luck with women, like at all. It's pretty tempting to just outright make him asexual to contrast with this very appealing visual design. Like, maybe he doesn't want to have sex, but he wants people to want him, you know? So Al's design is almost the opposite because she is always seen fully dressed, she's always covered, and she's also kind of a sex fiend. So making him ace would be an interesting foil to that. That would be a fun dynamic to play with. It would also be a way to subvert the trope of overly sexualizing brown men. It's kind of just something to think about in the end of all of the design, but you know what I mean. So now that I'm saying this, I wish that I made the blues in his design more purple. It's too late to fix that for this video, but I'm totally doing that for the next time you see him. That would create a very subtle ace flag color palette without changing any features that make him related to Al. In fact, just turning his hair purple and making the pants gray, it would make those flag colors in the right order, but upside down. So yeah, it's official. Narcisco Frontera is asexual, Alejandra Frontera is a lesbian, and nobody is getting grandkids. So you can see me adjusting the exact tone of his hair multiple times in the recording. Now that I've explained that he's ace and I'm making his hair purple later, I have effectively wasted everybody's time with it. Both of the parents have dark hair, and I didn't want his to be the same as Al's. I think they have enough traits in common that they don't need the same hair color, but maybe I'm wrong. Of course, we have this open shirt to show off his muscles and distinct lack of body hair. I don't think it shows in the video, but I do add sparkles to his chest, kind of as a joke. I just really wanted to emphasize the whole the chestular area. So with using such a dark shade of blue for the pants, part of me wants to believe that they're just denim. But I've known theater kids my whole life, and none of them know how to wear normal pants. I knew this guy who wore suspenders with jeans and a t-shirt, and it drove everyone nuts. And maybe it's because we hated that guy. Not because of the suspenders, though. He was just a bad person. I've been using blue and brown for a lot of my protagonists, so I'm not sure if I want to change this in the future or roll with it. Having a cool color palette like this flags him as a good guy, and I wanted that to be the case, but if it's purple instead of blue, it's still a cool color, so that still creates the good guy sort of look. So there seems to be this trope of these Spanish-coded characters being very full of themselves while being ever so vaguely aligned with the main protagonist. Of course, the only example I have in my head right now is Flavio from Paper Mario. Narcisco is a legit good guy, but he's just kind of annoying. Hopefully this tracks in the chapter that I introduced him in. One thing you'll notice in the video is that I'm flipping the canvas and desaturating the image more. I had this problem with the last drawing where I didn't do either of those things, so I wasn't super thrilled with how the drawing of the queen came out. Just thought I'd highlight that I am improving my digital art skills, since that was the original plan for this channel. I don't have a specific way that I design my characters. They are like my children. And much like real children, they are not all planned. It seems to be one of two directions for me. Either the characters are made to fit the universe, or the universe molds around the characters. For example, Al and Hen were designed long before I even had a story idea. I'm making it up as I go, and you can clearly see the anachronism in the drafts I've posted. So there's monarchy as a ruling government, and horse-drawn carriages as a main form of transportation, but the main character sees herself on TV, and their style of dress is very, very modern. The story relies pretty heavily on the main characters falling in love while they escape an overbearing family. That's kind of a timeless storyline to work with, but the universe itself bends to whatever the plot needs. Narcisco, on the other hand, was created because the universe needed him. He was created to progress the plot that existed before he did. The universe had seniority over him, so he adjusts to what it needs. The storyline needed a rival sibling, so that's just what I birthed on command. After this process of molding both sides of the story, eventually you have to blend it in a way that you can't tell which was made first. My goal for this story is to create something that people want to read about, but also a universe that people want to make their own characters and play with themselves. Scratch that. I didn't say it like that. It still feels very random so far, so I'll have to spend more time developing the universe as its own character. If you have any suggestions for world building, I would love to hear it. Also, let me know in the comments if you have any tricks for designing characters. I have this problem where the designs are too simple for me. I also don't put enough thought and energy into designing the face. It's usually small enough that I don't have enough space to work with it, but that's not really an excuse. This is a bad habit from me working in a small sketchbook and then focusing on full body figure drawings. I think I'm pretty good at alternating the body shapes, but faces are still a big area for me to tackle. It's some shade of same face syndrome, and it'll just have to get cut down for the future. And I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far in the video, I assume you liked it. If that is indeed true, then like the video, subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and comment below. I post this channel and my blog every week. My Instagram is a little more sporadic, to be honest. I'm working on a story currently titled Princex Hal. It means a lot to me to know that you are interested, so thanks guys. I'll see you next Tuesday.